Of course, one of the big decisions that has to be made when setting up an international supply chain is how do you select your suppliers? There are a number of basics about this, of course. One of the things you have to do is you have to realize that you're not going to be able to get the perfect supplier. Some of them are going to be good at some things. You're going to have to trade off between the attributes. How do you actually go about deciding which attributes to prioritize, though? Well, easiest way to do this is to adopt some kind of supplier scoring. So you can assess them, give them a mark, total up the marks, and decide whichever has the highest score is the one you're going to use. And this should be a method that gives you the capability of rating alternative suppliers in terms of various factors. But as well as actually reporting how good they are at each factor, it must be important to recognize that of these various factors, some of them will be more important to you than others, so you should not give them all equal weighting. So you need to give them a relative weighting of importance depending on how critical they are to your supply chain being competitive. And the number of factors we look at them, basically break them down to the short-term ability to supply and the long-term ability to supply. In the short term, if we're looking to get something quick, we're looking for things do they have a large enough range of products and services to provide us with all the things we need? Do they have a reputation and an appearance of quality? Are they quick to respond? Are they dependable? Are they reliable? Do we have to order the same every week, or can they be flexible in terms of the volume we order and the delivery they make? Cost, of course, is important. And then finally, make sure they can actually meet, if you're a big company, the demands that you're going to put on them. Do not accept the fact they may well actually be saying, oh, yes, we can supply this, but in the end, the amount you're looking for. In the longer term, though, you want to stay with a supplier. How innovative are they? How easy is it to actually take part in the business? Are they willing to get closely involved in you and therefore take some elements of the risk? Or do they expect to be paid regardless of whether the end consumer pays? Are they willing to sign long-term contracts? Are they willing to make investment in machinery and facilities to interlink with your IT systems, for example, giving them the ability to transfer knowledge between you so you learn from each other and so you become part of a supply chain that competes. As I said repeatedly, supply chains compete, not individual companies these days. That's why supply chain management is seen as a strategic initiative. Do they have the technical capability to develop new products and to meet the products you're doing, to meet the quality, to meet the time, to meet the cost demands you're doing? Is their operations function well run? Do they actually have an ability to produce the goods you want, the quality you want? Do they have the money to make sure they can make the investments? Do they actually make sure they can produce the stuff you need? And are the managerial staff capable of running the company in a manner that fits into your supply chain, that fits into the way that you need to do business? Once you've done that, you just give it dimensions, and you give the various different dimensions different prices. And this is one way of doing it. It's an integrated approach for supplier selection, taken from the Supply Chain Management International Journal. And it looks at things like purchasing costs, which of course are not just the price of the product, but they're the transportation costs, but they're also ordering costs. Do you have a very simple system where you can just go online and order it, or do they have a complex system? Quality, which is of course both the quality of the end product and the ease of making sure that poor quality products don't get into your system, but of course the cost of lots of scrap anyway. You want to keep down the minimum of scrap, but you also want to make sure that those products that are not appropriate are got rid of. Are they reliable delivering in terms of time and in terms of quantity? Are they able to interrelate with you for customer services? If you need to make a change to your order, can they do it? Can they deliver it quickly if you need it quickly? Do they reply to questions about the orders and about potential future products quickly and realistically? Are they just looking to be someone who sells to you, or are they willing to enter co-design production phase? Are they willing to have long-term supply contracts? And finally, the financial status. It's no good them be the best supplier in the world if they go bust without ever delivering the stuff you've paid for, or even if you haven't paid for it, if you actually need it to meet your customer demands and they go broke. How can you do it? So what is their asset and debt balance? What are their incomes and earnings like? Can you access some information on their cash flow? All of these are important information for you to have. As a quick example of that, let's look at a hotel chain that decides time has come to replace its supplier. It's looked at two different suppliers for its cleaning goods. It has a whole set of criteria, and it looks at them and rates them on a 1 to 10 scale. And these are obvious things like cost, performance, and quality record. Can they promise the right delivery speeds? Do they achieve the right delivery speeds? Are they dependable? When they say they're going to do something, are they able to do it? Do they have a wide enough range of products? Do they have an innovation capability? And you could go through this then, but it's also important to recognize that these are not all equal. For something like cleaning supplies, to replace an unreliable delivery, when you're saying that cost and quality are going to be important, so they're the most important things. Then after that, you have things about whether they can actually achieve the speeds they promise, how dependable they are. You've had problems dependent with the last one, so you want to make sure the new one isn't like that. Do they have the right range of products? Are they capable of innovating new products? Well, for cleaning supplies, that's probably not that important, but it might still be useful going forward. And then you analyze them, you check out their order forms, you check their deliveries, you talk to their pre-existing customers, and you give them a score. So that supplier B is much cheaper than supplier A. The quality record of supplier B, despite being cheaper, is higher. Both of them are reasonably good at promising deliveries, but actually delivery speed achieved for supplier A is much, much lower than the delivery speed achieved for supplier B. Supplier A is much more dependable. Remember, you replace your old supplier because they're undependable, not very dependable. So what are you going to do about this? Look at the range provided the innovation capability. So we look at this and we come to the conclusion, using this simple quantitative approach, that in this situation, supplier B would be the best company to go with for supplying cleaning goods. Note that cost is important and it's a factor with a high weight, but it basically works out as a 20% of the overall things. And in this situation, the cost performance of supplier A is superior to that of supplier B, but they're just not reliable enough to make it worth it. If you end up with a dirty hotel, you lose customers, you may never get those customers back again. There are other selection models. One worth looking at is Carter's 10 C's. And this is simply a situation where Carter looked at this and came up with the idea. Competency, can they actually do the job? Capacity, can they actually have the machinery, things to do what they promise to do? Are they understanding how important the quality is to you? Are they willing to commit to make sure the quality comes through? Does it look like they're actually in control of their factory? Does it look like they're able to produce and monitor the performance? Do they have cash so they're able to actually make sure they can pay their suppliers? You're not suddenly going to find that your material is not repossessed. What are their costs? Can they keep the price down to an acceptable level? Are they consistent? Do they share your cultural values? So that's something in which two organisations can work together. Are they clean? And are they sustainable? It's not just environmental issues. It's about will they be able to keep their business going year on year if you want to have a long-term relationship with them? And are they able to fit into your communication network? Do you know who to talk to at another firm? The problem often with companies is that once everything runs smoothly for a while, suddenly things go wrong and you realise you don't actually know who at the firm to talk to in order to sort out your problems. These are all very important. Another decision I have to make with supplier sourcing is, do you go for a single source, do you go for a multi-source? Single source has clear advantages, potentially much better quality. There's stronger relationships with much greater durability. Bigger dependence means that you will actually both need to work together. Clear communications, you know who you're going to speak to. If you're working together and they know you're not actually working with someone else, they're more likely to cooperate with you on product development. There's scale because you're only using a single source and they can have one factory producing it all. And there's a lot of confidentiality. But you are very vulnerable to distribution if there's a supply or a fire or some sort of disaster at them. They may become totally dependent on you, and if you start the fact that you find the need to cut back, they may find themselves having to close down. If they know they're the only person, they may respond to this by pushing up prices. On multi-sourcing, the advantages are that you can control the price. You can use competitive tendering. You can get prices down. If there's a problem with supply, you can switch sources, and there's wide arrays of knowledge and expertise to tap. You can talk about the variety of things you can do. But there are big disadvantages with multi-sourcing. The supplier may not be committed to you. It's much more difficult to develop effective quality assurance methods when you actually have to look at various companies that are doing things different from theirs. You have to realise who are you supposed to be talking to? How do you communicate the right person? A supplier who sees you going to a variety of suppliers is less likely to invest in special goods, special machinery that are useful for your things. And it's more difficult to obtain scale because you're spreading the money, spreading the orders around a number of factories, so no one factory can gain scale, for the advantage of scale that are available to us, a single source supplier.